How are you, my dear students? You know we are going to start our new topics. Here's the new topics we also start in the previous class, the chapter 6. Here's the chapter 6. The lesson's name is the structure of matter. You know what's the meaning of the structure and what's the meaning of it, the molecules and also the compound. Now today we also start the new topics, the lesson 3. Here's the lesson 3. There is the smallest particle theory. Here's the smallest particle theory. In the previous lesson we have seen that if we continue breaking elements and compound, it will turn into small particles. Over the time, scientists and philosophers had proposed different theories on these small particles. During 400 BC, the first theory on a small particle of matter was given by Greek philosopher Democritus. According to him, every matter is made of some small indivisible particles which cannot be broken anymore. He called such small particles atoms. The word atom comes from the Greek word atomos, which means indivisible or things that cannot be broken. During that time, two contemporary philosophers of Democritus named Plato and Aristotle stood against the theory. According to Aristotle, matters are continuous and they have no limit of division. That means if breaking continuous, the particles will become smaller and smaller. My dear students, in the previous class, we also know what's the meaning of the compounds. Now, some Democritus, some scientists, we also know. Here's the first scientist is the Democritus, second is the Plato and Aristotle. Now, we also explain the next scientist. Here's the next scientist is the Dalton. Now, during 1803, John Dalton, an English scientist, gave a theory based on the experimented information on small particles of matter. This theory is called Dalton's atomic theory. According to Dalton, first theory and also the first hypothesis are the elements are made of extremely small particles called atoms. So, in the first class, we also know the elements are made of extremely small particles called atoms. All the atoms of an element are the same. The atoms of an element are identical in size, mass, and chemical properties. Atoms. Now, 3 number hypothesis. Atoms of an element are different from other elements. That means atoms of different elements differ in size, mass and other properties. 4 number. Compounds are made of more than one element. Atoms of different elements combining in the simple whole number ratios form compounds. 5. In chemical reactions, atoms cannot be created or destroyed, only they are joined with separated from each other. My dear students, now we also explain about the lesson 4 and 5. Here's the 4 and 5. We also draw some category. Here's the oxygen, 1 oxygen atoms, the 2 oxygen atoms, and they also together the oxygen molecule. And second is this two structure is the hydrogen, 1 hydrogen, 2 hydrogen, and this structure is the oxygen. Now they also the together is also the H2O and another name is the water. Now lesson 4 and 5. We have learned from the Dalton's atomic theory that matters consist of small particles. These small particles are known as atoms. Atoms cannot stay free or independent. They form molecules by combining each other. A molecule can stay free or independent. In case of elements, only atoms of the same substance combining together and form molecules. For example, 2 oxygen atoms combine to form an oxygen molecule. Now we also know the structure of the molecules. Here's The another structure, in the other words, an element named oxygen is made up of small molecules. If we break down an oxygen molecules, we will get two oxygen atoms. So, two oxygen atoms, they are formation of the molecules. Now let us consider a compound named water. Take some water in a container. Divide them into small parts. Assume that we now have a single drop of water. This single drop of water in fact consists of numerous small particles. If we continue to break down the single drop, we will get a single particle which can stay alone and free. Such a particle contains all the properties of water. This particle is a molecule of water. Now, the formation of this structure, again we also see this board. Here, water in fact an aggregate of water molecules. If we break down a water molecule, we will get smaller particles. However, they cannot stay free or independent. They do not contain any properties of water. They, in fact, are no longer water particles. They are atoms of two different elements, one oxygen atom and two hydrogen atoms. In other words, one oxygen atom and two hydrogen atoms combine to form a water molecule. Now, my dear students, again I also draw this structure. Yes, this is the structure again I draw. Yes, this structure and also this black structure is the oxygen, and these two structure and the two structure is the formation of the hydrogen atom. Again, this structure is the oxygen atom and these two structure is the hydrogen atom. Here is the hydrogen, here is the hydrogen, and this structure is the oxygen. Again, when we also breaking down, these two atoms are also the divide. Here's the one structure is the black. Basically, they are also the oxygen atoms, and two structure is the empty structure is the hydrogen atoms. So, did you understand that the relationship and differences between atoms and the molecules? Again, I also repeat these the topics here. If we break down a water molecule, we will get smaller particles. However, they cannot stay free or independent. They do not contain any properties of water. They, in fact, are no longer water particles. They are atoms of two different elements, one oxygen and two hydrogen atoms. Again, one oxygen atom and two hydrogen atoms. In other words, one oxygen atom and two hydrogen atoms combine to form a water molecule. So, did you understand the relationship and differences between atoms and molecules? Metals consist of small particles named atoms. They again, please everyone underline these lines. Here these lines we also remember again. Metals consist of small particles named atoms. They cannot stay free or independent. Two or more atoms form and also the formation molecule by combining with each other. Two or more identical atoms combines and form a molecule of an element. Atoms of two or more elements combine to form a molecule of a compound. A molecule can remain free or independent. My dear students, this chapter we also know about the structure of matter. Yes, the structure of matter. First lesson is the structure of matter. What is the reason of the variation of matter? We also know there are the structure of the iron and the copper. And the second structure is the mixtures and third is the compound. And again, The smallest particles theory. Today I just also explained the smallest particles theory. Here's the very important hypothesis. In the important hypothesis, we also know first is the 400 BC. Before BC, there are also the explain about the Democritus. Second is the Aristotle and Plato, and third we also know about the 1803. Yes, the 1803 Daltons. Sir John Dalton also gave the one hypothesis. Yes, the one hypothesis, there are 5 points. Yes, the 5 points. First point is the elements are made of extremely small particles called atoms. Second is all the atoms of an element are same. And third is the atoms of an element are different from other elements. Fourth is the compounds are made of more than one element. Atoms of different elements combining in simple whole number ratios from compounds. In chemical reactions, atoms cannot be created or destroyed. Only they are joined with the separated from each other. Next topics we also explain about the lesson 4 and 5. Yes, the 4 and 5. How can they formation? Yes, the 1 or 2 compound structure. First compound structure we also learn about the water. Here's water. There are 2 hydrogen atoms and the 1 oxygen atoms. When they are also the formed together, and they are also the formation of H2O. In the next class, we also learn about the atoms and symbol. What's the meaning of the atoms and what is the symbol? Now, my dear students, I think that's okay. Thank you.